everybody, welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that is in a room where business is happening. We're recording things and doing things, and I guess you'll see it soon. Today in the news, good job, gang. You bullied NFTs out of mainstream games. Over on PC Gamer, they've got an article about how NFTs are fleeing games, except for the few rare and strange circumstances like what we saw yesterday with Square Enix and how weirdly defensive Ubisoft has been on this position. But other than that, the majority of gaming companies want nothing to do with them. So this brings the author of the piece to ask the question, are game publishers backing away from NFTs because they don't see the value in them, or because they're getting ruthlessly mocked and harangued online every time they talk about them? And of course, I for one welcome all ruthless haranguing, mostly because that is a great word, but also because it's well deserved. But also, it's just an easy question to answer. If you're being ruthlessly mocked online for trying to mess with NFTs, that is your audience telling you they don't want it. It's a bad look, and the additive value of having it in your game seems negligible, so of course you just back away. So I say it's both, but it's also this like chicken and egg thing, because I think a lot of the people online who have issues with it have seen a lot of other developers take issues with it. If there weren't a lot of game devs who already were like, nah, this is trash, not for me, a lot of the people online who are like, this is garbage, this is terrible, don't put it in my games, wouldn't be speaking up as much because a lot of devs were the first people to say, not in my game, and I think that helps as well. And I'm sure there's going to be pushback in the way of, well, y'all just accepted microtransactions and loot boxes. To that I say, no one accepted it. We live in that world now, but no one accepted it. And adding more to it, trying to workify gaming a leisure hobby, no one wants. And this is one of those, we will push back on this, like we should have pushed back on the other stuff. To be real, the reason why it's so strong now is because we learned a lesson from before, if you want to know. Speaking of terrible ideas, Russia. I mean, I could stop there because Russia has had a lot of terrible ideas lately, but today we're specifically focusing on video games. Because lately the Russian games industry has been decimated by, let's see here, an invasion of Ukraine and completely cutting themselves off from the rest of the world because of it. Yeah, that checks out. So in a meeting held between officials and industry representatives in the Russian Ministry of Digital Development on December 15th, the government began to consider a federal project it's calling the gaming industry of the future. One of the potential options found a Russian electronic arts to help streamline the release of high-quality Russian games. So, pause. They went with EA of all developers to mimic? Sure. According to Kommersant, a nationally distributed newspaper in Russia devoted to business and politics, Russian authorities are hoping to establish a new set of institutions to stabilize and corral Russian game development. On top of two bodies intended to focus on industry regulation, research, and training, officials also want to establish Rosgame, a center for the strategic development of the Russian games industry, which would focus on the regeneration and the development of the industry, as well as the development and publishing of games. And so they're looking for $50 billion in investment and the hope that by 2030 they'll be able to take on the titans of the industry. A document prepared by the nonprofit Agency for Development of Computer Sports and Other Types of Sport, Archives, which now that I think about it, that explains why they want to do EA, well, their representatives, who were also in attendance at the December meeting, proposed some concrete goals for the gaming industry of the future project. Apart from establishing a Russian EA, Archives imagines that by 2030, Russian game development will have earned 1 billion foreign users, produced 4 Russian game engines, and have, deep breath, somehow produced 2 new game consoles? All this despite the fact that Russia is still subject to severe international sanctions following its invasion of Ukraine, and many games companies have exited the country entirely. So, Nasta Sorovia, and good luck, cause man, I don't see any of that happening. And finally, guys, Starfield is coming. Seriously. In a statement made on their recently launched support section of their website, Starfield says it's coming for Xbox and PC in the first half of 2023. Yes, that's right. Starfield, which was first revealed at Bethesda's 2018 E3 press conference, and technically was mentioned like 9 or 10 years ago, well, we finally got our first real look last year. We were told it was 100% coming out, and we finally know that after all the pushbacks, it's the first half of this year. And while, just looking at the footage, I'm still not entirely convinced it'll be any good. I'm eager to see more, and hopefully we'll get that, because the first half of 2023 is now. We're in it. We're living that right now. They've got less than 6 months to get the hype train rolling on this, and I don't know if anyone's hype. Hopefully we'll get something more, but we will see. Speaking of things you should see, go over to Cox Clips, yeah, that's a segue, and check out all the videos we got going on over there. We have your shorts, we have more Final Fantasy 14 stuff going up, there's more Midnight Suns going up, all sorts of fun stuff. So just be on the lookout, check it out, see the different games I'm playing when I'm not here doing the news. That's it for me. See y'all tomorrow for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.